While chosen families were first utilized by our most oppressed and forgotten, mainstream culture has become more than familiar with this concept through two main teachers, the media and the pandemic. Because while Miss Piggy and the Muppets may be the most notable example of chosen families to me, this concept is actually the bedrock of modern film and television as a whole. Because as these alternative forms of family became more and more present through marginalized communities, Hollywood did what Hollywood does best. Whitewashed the shit out of it. Valerie Pop, in her 2021 Screen Rant article, identifies it as the found family trope, referring to any series where characters who are mostly unrelated bond together and form their own family unit. And while I'm not sure why anyone would want Ross Geller a part of their family unit, Riccati goes as far as to call this trope the backbone of television as a whole. And frankly, she isn't wrong. From children's cartoons to action movies, to virtually every sitcom known to man, characters turning to each other and forming their own family units are everywhere. This prevalence has exposed many people who have never really needed that alternative form of support to the concept. But this universalization of chosen families does not end with television. Throughout the recent coronavirus pandemic, many groups who have never experienced such isolation from their birth families were suddenly unable to connect. In her 2020 Wired article, Live Wrong and Prosper, COVID-19 and the Future of Families, Lori Penny recalls when the coronavirus pandemic first began. Living with one friend and two other roommates, they created what they referred to as their pod. Penny and her pod shared little in common and came from all corners of the globe. But they took turns doing household chores and offered each other love and support.
Leaving Iowa by Tim Clue and Spike Manton. Honey, can we get back in the car? The kids are getting hungry. In a minute, dear. Two things I will never forget. One, you never met a historical landmark you didn't stop for. Wow, says here we're standing on one of the first concrete roads. All right, family picture. Come on, get down here with me. It's so smooth. Mom, why are we here? Because he's your father. Two, you never met a podunk town you didn't stop for. This, he said, is why we take road trips. For the adventure. Look at this place, kids. The character. Mom, because he's your father. All right. Let's see what little treasures this town holds. Huh, a cemetery of war heroes, honey. Oh, fun. Think I'm gonna go to Main Street. Oh.
In Merriam-Webster's Learn About Bitch section, which coincidentally is the name of my autobiography, it states that the word bitch was used primarily to refer to the female dog up until 1675. However, there was a drastic shift in the meaning of the word, from its definition in reference to dogs to its now mainstream derogatory definition. Not so bitchin', but I wonder why. In her Vice article, Arielle Pardes reveals the shocking answer: women's suffrage. She continues, that's right, that Susan B. Anthony bitch got the right to vote and men were not happy about it. And I know what you're thinking. Men not being happy for a woman's success, unbelievable. But we can divide the history of the meaning of the word into two categories, pre-suffrage and post-suffrage. At the time women gained the right to vote, 61.5% of the total occurrences of the word bitch recorded in the Corpus of Historical American English were in reference to the female dog. And in time, its derogatory usage would increase so greatly that its previous dog definition would become almost completely obsolete. In her 2017 study, author Von Huffinder tells us that just a decade after suffrage, only 24.7% of the total occurrences of the word bitch referred to the dog, female dog. And in the most recent data, that percentage was a mere 1.3%. In another historical time period for women, second wave feminism, the word gained yet another meaning, one of self-empowerment. In the Bitch Manifesto, which will be the name of my firstborn child, Author Joe Freeman tells us that a bitch is a threat to the social structures which enslave women and the social values which justify keeping them in their place. Yet, in the 2021 Netflix documentary The History of Swear Words, it reveals that up until recently, Merriam-Webster didn't even classify bitch as an offensive word, like it did with every other swear word. That's right. Apparently it was okay to call a woman a bitch up until around the same time they added twerk as an official entry.